As you can imagine, MPs from different parties have blamed different reasons for our load shedding. You know the history of this. The ANC-led government failed to start building new power stations in time. When Medupi and Kusile were built, there was corruption involving the ANC's investment vehicle, Chancellor House, and Hitachi around the boilers. Now we have arguments about what kind of power we should use. Well, in Parliament today, there was this conversation. Dr. Roland Ngam is the Programme Manager for Climate Justice and Socio-Ecological Transformation at the Rosa Luxemburg Foundation, Southern Africa. Dr. Ngam, good afternoon to you. Look, there are plenty of people to blame for our power crisis. Where does your list start?
Well, thank you. Good afternoon. And I think former President Thabo Mbeki was very honest about this. The first time load shedding started, he addressed the nation very honestly and said that there was a problem. Starting from 2007, we know that increasing capacity from 36% of the country to 100% needed a lot more generation. And so we have a long list of people to blame. Obviously, the ANC is in government, and so it should shoulder the responsibility. But also we have corruption that has happened down the years with a number of CEOs, and this is very open news.
There's been a lot of conversation around what we could have done, what we should have done. I mean, in 2007, renewable power was very, very expensive. That's when the power crisis started. It's much cheaper now, but have we been moving too slowly to use renewable power, in your view?
Yes, certainly, because we should remember the history of solar, for example. In the 1950s, solar is invented. In 2000, Germany passes a law in parliament which really causes the price of solar panels to collapse. And the prices have been collapsing really ever since. And so two things could have been done. On the one hand, Medupi and Kusile really should have garnered more attention, but obviously there were some people who were sleeping at the wheel. And on the other hand, we should have, like Australia, for example, did, moved really quickly to start investing in solar and wind and other generation capacities that could have got the country out of this situation really quickly. And so a lot should have been done quickly, but wasn't, and here we are today.
It's tempting to say, and, you know, depending on where you stand on this, but it's tempting to say that we should just let people, private companies, generate as much renewable electricity as they can and just, you know, connect it to the grid. Don't care how, don't care, you know, how much it costs. Would that actually generate enough power to run our country, or would that create more problems?
Well, we need to think of a number of things. South Africa generates about 60,000 megawatts of electricity at any one time. Whenever we have load shedding, as we have had this week and in the previous weeks, we lose about 15,000 megawatts of electricity. Because obviously we have 13 power stations that are really old, reaching the end of their lifespan. And so at any one time, because we have this really old coal fleets that we need to renew, at any one time, whenever we need to do maintenance, we need a buffer. The buffer, obviously, looking at the times that the load shedding has occurred, should be anything between 7,500 and 15,000 megawatts. Now, many corporations like Macro, for example, and if you drive around the country, you will see already we have microgrids popping up all over the place. And these microgrids obviously are helping Eskom reduce the load. And this is really what Eskom has been saying, if you listen to what Jan Oberholzer was saying yesterday. These people really are being very honest and forthcoming. And so microgrids really cannot be a problem to Eskom. They are a solution because we need a buffer of minimum 7,000 megawatts. And so the more we construct those microgrids, the more we get out of the problem quickly.
I think one of the problems as a country, and this is maybe not just about electricity, is we keep fighting over what we want. This constituency wants to use coal, clean coal, they claim. This constituency wants to use nuclear. It doesn't release any greenhouse gases. This group claims that that group wants to privatize Eskom. And frankly, Dr. Ngam, we all just want to be able to watch TV whenever we want. Do we spend too much time talking about it and not actually acting?
Watching Eskom really has become a kind of a national sport. You wake up in the morning, you look at the weather, and you look at how Eskom is doing. And really, that is a major problem in my view, because Eskom really is the South African economy. Without Eskom, really, and this is what the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research has said, that the country has lost about 1 trillion rand over the past 10 years. South Africa by 2030-2035 should be nearing a $1 trillion economy. But instead, it has contracted by over $100 billion in the past 10 years, and a lot of that really due to Eskom. And so the solutions are very simple. We need to look at the unemployment levels at 35%. We need to look at what has happened in Ukraine, and that should really be sending shivers down everyone's spine, the price of things like wheat and sunflower oil and so on. And so the solutions are really very clear. We need Eskom performing. Eskom will always be there, but at the same time, we also need to be moving very, very quickly with renewables whose prices have collapsed. And I have made this argument before that the country really should move very rapidly towards setting up a scheme where families are incentivized to set up rooftop panels, and also cooperatives to set up wind farms. And that will really get us out of this situation much quicker than the 48 months that Minister Gordhan is talking about.
Dr. Ngam, the last time I checked, we do get a bit more sun every day than Germany. Thank you very much indeed. Dr. Roland Ngam is a Program Manager for Climate Justice and Socio-Ecological Transformation at the Rosa Luxemburg Foundation.